Probably first and foremost, I want to thank CIRI and Dr. Spivak and Jim Harris for giving me the privilege to come up here. I am truly a real-world person. I have cleaned almost my entire life, and the other part of the life I cooked. So what I would like you to do is just join my journey just for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, what caused me to start looking at measuring cleaning? My role has always been the guy that is like Dirty Harry. Okay, we have big problem, 500 cleaners, laundry that's messed up. Cliff, you got to come in here and you got to make money. I happen to have a privilege of working for a fellow, and we grew the company from 2 resorts to over 100 resorts. That was also a curse, because we had a lot of conversation yesterday. You know, a lot of people talked about microbiology. Unbelievable. My head hurt last night, okay? Because you never get access to a lot of this thing in my world. Even if you get on the internet and you want to read about ATP, most of the information is about the people selling the ATP device. So everything's wonderful, and then I hear, you know, over the last year or so that everything isn't wonderful with measuring by ATP. So where does that lead us? What should we do? Is that a problem? Well, I've been fortunate. How many of you ever watched Forrest Gump? I've been pretty fortunate with my life. Okay, I've met some people that I should have never met and gotten to spend time with them. One of them was Bill Marriott. I was just a young pup. I was a food purchaser for Marriott years ago in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this is a quote I like to use. It said, "Don't ever stop trying to improve." He says, "I have never been satisfied with anything we've ever built. I have felt that dissatisfaction is the basis of progress. When we become satisfied in business, we become obsolete." And you know, when we look at the bottom of the CIRI thing, I noticed yesterday, and I hadn't noticed it before, practice in controversy. Isn't that truly what we're about? Is moving the industry forward. Okay? But we talk about what doesn't work all the time. What we need to do, Dr. Cole, I thought that was just, it was wonderful for me. Let's build a standard and work from there. Of course, we have to improve. But you have to start somewhere. Okay, we go back a long way, a lot of us, where we cleaned with the meanest chemicals there ever was. I remember bending over about 250 toilets using a pure acid on this thing without a mask, just to get the ring out because it was so embedded into there. Aren't we glad we're not there anymore? At least, hopefully, we're not there anymore. Most of my material comes from a 700-unit vacation ownership resort. Okay? All the units had a full kitchen with a dishwasher. The majority of the cleaning were completed on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a timeshare resort. Okay, I've written a couple articles, Executive Housekeeping Today. In fact, a lot of the material comes from this. The inspiration, I was reading on the internet one day about ICM, and that's Integrated Cleaning Measurement. And I got to be a part of that, but I went to the first conference. Why? Because one of the fees was you got to get an ATP device. Okay, so you paid for the conference and got this. I said, oh man, I got to get one of these things. Okay, because why did I want to? I wanted to show my bosses, okay, that it wasn't just about the money. That I wanted it to be clean. Okay, and there's a lot that goes back into that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The importance of a standard. There were 2 engineers, this little anecdote. We talked about anecdotal, this is a little anecdote. Okay? There were 2 engineers that looked up in the sky, and they saw the birds flying south, and they noticed the V formation. And they said, wonder why birds do that. And you know, they change a little bit, another guy leads, another guy drops back. Well, they decided to do a scientific study on that. What did they find? That because of the way they flew, they gained something close to 70% greater flying range than if they were flying alone. That gives us every reason today, okay, a lot of discussion yesterday about joining up. That gives us every reason. No one can fly alone in this. I'm on my part, all the scientists, this CIRI can help us get further. If we doubt that, consider that there are people, we had Mike and Mark, who spend their own money. I spent my own money to do this. My bosses were not the least bit interested. In fact, I'm not even allowed to name the resort. But it worked out well. They were happy because customer satisfaction actually increased. They were thrilled, okay, but they still don't want their name used. The next thing was, oh, did I go past it? Oh, we'll just skip that. Oh, that's anecdotal, okay? Based on personal observation, case study reports, or random investigations. That's me. I did a random study, but I used some criteria. Now, with random sampling, each individual has an equal probability of being selected. We put all the room numbers in a dish and did like a bingo thing and chose them. Okay? We chose clean and we chose dirty units. The reason for the research? I read this, the practical aspects of cleaning for high-touch object surfaces. I wanted to show the viability of using ATP as a cleaning measurement tool, as well as a immediate training tool for hospitality industry. My thought was to go out into the marketplace after this and sell this to people to get them to let me go and do quality assurance. That was my goal. It failed miserably. Demonstrate the importance of real-time resorts for improved cleaning efficacy. Now, one of the most important findings of Jay Glessel was that they did this in the hospital. Doorknobs, light switches, armrests, telephones are well cleaned about 50% of the time. We heard a little mention of this yesterday also. On the other hand, toilets, toilet seats, and sinks are well cleaned 85 to 90% of the time. So I wanted to find out if this was still true in hospitality. Frank Wiley, his quote, "There is a saying in science that one can't measure does not exist." In the real world of cleaning, there is still most of the people I deal with, they don't want to measure it because they're afraid of what people are going to do with that, okay, if and when they find out, okay, either from a disgruntled employee, okay, or just by information getting published, okay, so there is a lot of pushback. I also used a book called The Some Theory of Sampling on page 77, and the point was I tried to build a scientific experiment just like Mark did. Now, some of the benefits of using ATP, and it does work tremendously well for certain things. It improved the quality and the safety of our resort. It also trained and motivated the staff. This resort was a combination of in-house and contract cleaners. When you have that dynamic, and it's a dynamic, there is almost always enmity between the two sides, okay, and arguments and fighting over space. This actually, and this was a sidelight, I didn't realize this was going to happen, I just thought I was a referee, okay? It's rare when I've had to manage this way. I usually pick one side or the other and get rid of one side or the other. It actually helped bring them together because they actually shared the goal and a little bit of friendly competition. Well, let's get this number down as far as we can. Now, of course, you have to manage it, okay, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It also saves time by providing instant feedback. And that's important with cleaners. They want instant feedback. If you want to train somebody, it's got to be instant. Talk about short attention spans. Cleaners, different people in the kitchens, you've got about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. If you're going to talk any longer than that, they're gone. They may be looking at you, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, but they're not there anymore. They're not there anymore. Okay, my attention span is pretty short. Theirs is much shorter. It also complements the ISSA SIMS as well as the integrated cleaning measurement. It complements it. It's not a standalone thing. And I've been glad to see that integrated in. I've been privileged to be part of the SIMS. Got a couple companies SIMS certified, just became a SIMS assessor and got to be part of the ICM. That was great. Okay, it also provides evidence of due diligence and it protects your brand. That's probably in the future, but I think it really does that. And it does ensure customer satisfaction and loyalty. We did this in front of the residents. In a timeshare, you know, you actually own it. I actually got to do it in front of them, and they were fascinated. They loved it, okay, even when it was high. We did it in some clean units, and then we re-cleaned it. It really helped. Sometimes it turned we actually took it to a couple complaint units where they said it was dirty, okay? I went with them, okay? And it actually turned it around where I didn't have to give them anything. And that's important, because normally they want money back. I used a calibration of the ATV device every 100 readings. I actually took this all mostly from Dr. Powitz, and I actually got to hear Dr. Gerber speak at the original ICM. So I took almost all of theirs. I used a 2x2 template made from shirt cardboard. It bent, okay? I made a new one every day, okay? A sampling scheme used random location sample of clean and dirty units, and then I did baseline values established for pass, caution, fail. Now, I did the strict one used for the Hygiena. 10 relative light units passed. The middle was 11 to 29. Failure was 11 through anything greater than 30. Now, Ronnie Garrett, I wanted to use another quote, because we've got a lot of different definitions of what cleaning is. Well, I use this definition. Cleaning at its most basic level is the process of removing unwanted substances from the environment. Traditionally, that has meant cleaning away the dirt people can see. And I had spent 20 years doing that, okay? I used a bathtub floor for obvious reasons, a drinking glass from a cabinet, and I'm going to tell you a story about why I did that, okay? I had a suspicion about this, and it ended up being true. Kitchen counter, a toilet seat top, and a TV remote. That also came out of a little thing I read about hospitals with the mice, okay? Now, my suspicions, I chose these for my suspicions. The average relative light units for all the surfaces over the entire study was 137. So we failed miserably. That's clean and dirty combined. We passed 20% of the time. Caution was 20%. Failure was 60%. The highest reading was from a toilet seat top on a clean unit, 2,701, which shows one time nobody cleaned it, or 15 times nobody cleaned it. And the thing that was interesting, it looked perfectly clean. You would have not just, you walk back into these bathrooms, there wasn't any soil on it or underneath it. It looked perfectly clean. The lowest single reading was 0 light units from various sources. Quickly, the dirty unit, we had 13% caution, only 17% passed, 70% failed. You would expect that. Clean unit, we had almost double caution, double pass, and half as much fail. I did a little graph of this. We won't have to run through all this. These are the standard deviations. It's funny, Kivak certainly is true when you're doing the regular cleaning. And we were using microfiber here, okay? And we were using all-purpose hydrogen peroxide. We were using your basic chemicals that you get, you know, I don't want to give the company, but well-known company. We want to talk about these red ones. The maximum of drinking glass in a cabinet was 112, which was definitely a failure. We've spoken about the 2,701. The TV remote, the mean of it, the average was 183. There was almost no clean remotes. Okay, why? Well, we'll talk about that too. The maximum TV remote was 573. Again, for the clean, these were the drinking glass in the cabinets by itself. Maximum was 112. Why? I'll tell you why. We kept wondering about this. So when we were in the clean unit one day, lady was in there it was getting ready to be clean. She was finishing. She was emptying the dishwasher. We had run across this already, so I had the dishwashers tested to see if they reached 180 degrees rinse. They did. So I was sitting there, well, that can't be the problem. So is somebody going into the unit using the glass and putting it back? You don't really know. So we did the key reading, which you can do. No. Okay. So we're in a room one day. Nice woman in there cleaning, emptying the dishwasher. Takes her microfiber rag, takes out the glass, holds it up, wipes the rain. Okay? So we're over here doing the remote control, and I looked and I saw it, popped up. I said, no, why did you do that? I said, no, I'm not mad at you. Just why did you do that? Well, it had spots on it, sir. Okay, I had to get the spots off before I put it in the cabinet. And I said, now, do you do this pretty often? She says, I look at every glass, sir. I really inspect them. And I said, do you do this at your house? She said, yes, I do. Okay. And I said, and you use a cloth that you cleaned with? Oh, yeah, it's not that dirty. Okay. But it was a perfect time to train. It was a perfect time. So we went ahead and we pulled out a bunch of the glasses and we started doing a little retesting on them and showing her. We took her to another unit. Okay? A lot of times we think we have to have a big meeting to get the message across to all of our cleaners. The biggest group I've ever had in a meeting every week, I had up 698 full and part-time cleaners at a weekly meeting. At this resort, we had about 108. Within 2 days, everyone knew about this. Everyone. Okay? To the point that they weren't going to wipe any more glasses. That was for sure. Now, did it turn out all good? Mostly. She was a little afraid. We had to go reassure her. She was a little afraid that we were going to do something to her. But she did tell everybody, which is what we wanted. Okay, so excellent. Yes, indeed. TV remote. The maximum, 573 in the clean units. The dirty units, 1,102. Almost double. We're saying, oh, both of them are bad. They were cleaning them. They took a dry rag, some of the time, and they wiped off the remote. Okay, why didn't they do anything with the cleaning chemical? Because they were worried they were going to short it. Yeah. So that gave us our next big challenge on what we could do to accomplish that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There was also a Jim Topper of Neogen Corporation, and he had a good experience in the hospital industry about this. The same thing that we did with the glass, I came upon this later, where they were doing different ATP tests, and they did a bed rail console. They got readings 14,500, okay? So that was a little bit more. They called the housekeeper over and explained what they were doing. The housekeeper suggested she might have missed that area. The director had the housekeeper clean the area, which resulted in a dramatically lower reading. After they were done cleaning it, they only got down to 500 relative light units. And they were happy about that. Now, what they explained to the cleaner, which I wish I would have known, was that now they'd killed 14,000 germs. Now, based on the last day, it may not be accurate, but it certainly was a good and illustrative example, okay, for the cleaner, and made an impression, because they understand what a germ is, okay, and they don't want any germs. This is the toilet seat top, okay, we discussed that. Let's go back to the TV remote. I did a little chart since I learned about what log reduction was, okay, so I just learned that since all this was going on, so I went back and did a little math. We actually used a chemical. What we did was, we did about 5 or 6 different things with the TV remotes to try to get them clean. What we did was we used a chemical, and I won't say the name, but it was one that claimed 99.99% kill, okay, with the, 5 or 10 minute dwell time, okay? And that's something else that I want to make a point of. No one in the cleaning industry that's trying to make any money at it is ever going to tell their cleaner to put it on there for any longer than 30 seconds, okay? The most you can ever get is in a jacuzzi or a shower area where you can convince them and teach them to spray it and walk away and go clean something else and come back. That is by far, and that's the best hope you have to marry the two biggest diverse issues in the cleaning industry, clean against profit, okay? That's the best you're going to do, because time is money, okay? I also did a little math before we talk about log reduction, okay? 1 minute of time at $8 an hour times 100 cleaners, okay? Okay, yes, okay? Okay, that's the profit margin with most cleaning companies, okay? I'll give you an example from the hotel industry. I cleaned for Marriott years ago, and our goal was to get the rooms done in 32 minutes. Okay, and you know Marriott's totally non-union, always was, and we're going to make sure they stayed non-union forever. They tried to lower that to 31 minutes. Okay, they had to pay the cleaners another quarter for that. Okay, that stuck with me for years and years and years till I became the advocate of exceptional activity-based costing, we'll call it. Okay, the science of activity-based costing, paying bonuses, but always making sure the company, every time you gave a quarter raise, they had to increase their ability and speed to where you made a nickel on top of the 25 cents. I have made my career doing that and pulling that off. That is where we need to go with this, okay, as best as we can. So we use this, and we use a microfiber cloth, and we sprayed the microfiber cloth with the cleaner. We also used electrolyzed water. We also used a glass cleaner. The best log reduction we got was a 60-second dwell time, which was the most we did. Okay, we had 11 times improvement. That was the best we did. Okay, the reading went from, over 400, and we got it down to 18. Plenty acceptable in my world. That was wonderful in a 60-second dwell time. So that's what we ended up doing from then on in. What happened? Oh, there we go. Lessons learned from the TV remote. We talked about that. We found to have the highest. Why? Because they only wiped it. Okay, we'll breeze through these. The drinking glass, we talked about that. The conclusion. I love John Wooden. I love sports. Always have. I was, a long time ago, a rotten professional tennis player. That's why I got in the cleaning industry. I wanted to be a professional tennis player. I was slow. And you learn how slow you are as you go up. I was great in high school, the king, pretty good in the state. And then you go to college and you find out you're not that good. Okay, so but I got 2 years of college for free till they convinced themselves that I was no good also. So it was a good story. But it does shape you in a lot of good ways, okay, to where you always try to improve. John Wooden quote, many of you might know him, success is peace of mind, okay, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction, knowing that you did your best to become the best that you were capable of becoming. John Wooden is famed for his pyramid of success. It is an incredible little document. He trained his players on how to put their socks on. Okay, microbiologists and all of you, you are those people, okay, who help us to keep us from killing ourselves. Because we would go and kill other people also in order to make money. Okay, not only did I clean that toilet with the thing, I was at least smart enough not to let my cleaners use it. Okay, and the company I worked for, the man, he's a great fella. He only wanted us to do it. Okay, we only let the supervisors use the bleach. Okay, that was the minimum. Where we want to go with this is, the implication is, the work developed a system of cleaning using ATP as a quality assurance verification, and that did work, and training aid while the cleaners were in the field working. I encourage everyone, anything that we're going to do with the standards and things, you need to do it with the cleaners. We need to involve those individuals. Understand that they always have a leader, okay? There are great young people in supervision that can be trained to do this. The work adds the hospitality industry to the other industries already using cleaning measurement. I actually am still allowed to do this in secret for a company that I do work for, okay? But totally confidential, only 2 people get to look at it. Lastly, performing measurement while cleaners are working provides a powerful training tool unmatched by other training means. Thank you very much.